Are you a perfectionist? Have you found yourself like catching yourself like feeling like you're stuck, but you don't even really know why you're stuck in this perfectionism? And maybe you're at a point where you're really tired of being a perfectionist, but you really just don't know how to stop it. Well, my spirit guides came to me, specifically Holy Mary Mother of Healing, asked me to share with you what perfectionism really is, and why it's stopping you. And she wanted me to share this with you because she knows that this perfectionism has been making challenges in your life, and that it's been preventing you from having that life that you absolutely love. So wouldn't you like to have that, a life that you absolutely love? Well, perfectionism is something that prevents you from it. Now, everyone has a spirit guide. In fact, you have more than one. You have some that stay with you your entire life, and some that drop in for certain things of helping you overcome challenges, or maybe helping you manifest that purpose that you feel like is calling to you in your heart, but you haven't been able to take that step with it. So today we're going to invite in the spirit guides. We're going to invite in specifically Holy Mary Mother of Healing and any other spirit guide that shows up that is here to help you with your awakening process, because everything the spirit guides bring to me to share with you is about helping you in your awakening and becoming more and more spiritually awake. So, hi, I'm Deepa. I call myself the Creative Mystic because I am a creative mystic. I do creativity. I love making things. I'm an interfaith minister. I have been doing a spiritual practice every day consistently for 40 years. I think it's 40 now. If it's not 40, it's almost 40. So I want to welcome you to my Sacred Art Studio, a place where we connect with spirit through our spirit guides, where we combine creativity and spirituality. That's why I do this here in my Sacred Art Studio, is that we bring in your creative powers, my creative powers, with spirit to grow spiritually. And we're also wanting to help you create a divine experience. And most importantly, help you get out of your head and into your heart, because being too much in your head, overthinking, which perfectionism is one of those things, right? It's one of the signs you're an overthinker, is one of the biggest blocks to growing spiritually. There are these blocks that prevent you from growing spiritually as quickly as you would like. So if you're someone who's been on the path for a while and have been wanting to grow, you might want to subscribe, because this is what I talk all about the different things that will help you in your path of awakening, in growing spiritually. So let's get going and invite in the spirit guides. All right, so I'm going to ring this bell. If you haven't been here before, you know I ring it so we can say hello spirit, hello to the spirit guides. We're going to say hello to Holy Mary Mother of Healing, and more specifically, and any spirit guide that is here for you. And the thing about this is it's about creating sacred space here in this my Sacred Art Studio, and in your space, but not just in the physical space, in your inner space, because the most important place to have an awakened spiritual sacred energy is within yourself. Okay, so we're going to do that. So let's just invite those sacred spirit guides in. Okay, so let's ring this bell, and as I ring the bell, feel the resonating vibration of the bell ringing, and say hello to your spirit guide. And as you're doing that, just feel, even if you don't know your spirit guides, never had an experience with them, just like feel the sensation of the awakening to your spirit guide. Okay? So let's ring that bell. So let's take a moment now and just take a deep belly breath before I ring it. A deep belly breath where the belly rises with the inhalation and falls with the exhalation. And on that next deep belly inhalation, draw on the energy of focus. And on the exhalation, allow yourself to let go of any business, any distractions. And on that next deep belly inhalation, we're going to draw on the energy of divine presence, specifically the divine presence of Holy Mary, Mother of Healing, because she's here to share with us about perfectionism. And now let's ring the bell and invite her in. Say hello to Mother of Healing. Hello to the spirit guides that are here for us. We invoke thy presence, bringing thy energy, thy blessings, thy guidance, connecting, feeling, deepening our oneness with the spirit guides so that we may receive the blessings, receive the guidance, and most importantly, receive the transformation. And with each ringing of the bell, feel the blessings, feel the transformation, and just feel your spirit guide. And Mother of Healing is already coming in saying, with each ringing of the bell, she's blessing you with a healing. And she's saying you get to state out loud what that healing is that you feel like you need right here, right now. Give it a voice. And affirm with each ringing of the bell that a healing vibration is coming in to heal what you have stated. As you hear the bell fading into the distance, just know that what you asked for healing, that whatever that is that needs to be healed, is healed and fading into the distance. And say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to bring in the energy of the fire for transformation. Just inviting in that transformative energy. And we're going to bring in the Palo Santo. Well, we're having some thunder and lightning here. I don't know if you hear it through the mic or not, but it's just going like crazy, the thunder. And maybe that thunder is here to bring the energy of healing power even more powerfully. Because thunder, you think that's booming, right? The booming energy. So we're going to bring this Palo Santo to clear your energy, to be more open and receptive. Because Holy Mary, Mother of Healing, is saying that in order to get a healing, in order to get transformation, you have to be willing to be open and receptive, to allow this cleansing Palo Santo smoke, which it can go through the camera. So even if you're not watching this live and you're not here physically with me, to just know that you're allowing that healing energy of the Palo Santo smoke and this, she's saying the scent, because if you've never had it, if you've ever been, it's got this beautiful scent. So she's asking that you embrace that. All right. So, whoops. So let me check in with Holy Mary, Mother of Healing, ask her what she wanted to say about perfectionism. And she wants to start with perfectionism. Like, what is it? Okay, and how do we even become a perfectionist? She says it's kind of melded together, you know, the how of why we become a perfectionist and what it really is. And she says what perfectionism really is. And oh, she wants me to start with this first. She said, there's a reason why you might be thinking, like, why is Deepa sharing about perfectionism with spiritual growth and, you know, and creating our path of awakening and growing spiritually? And she says that perfectionism is a byproduct of overthinking. It is also a big block to your spiritual growth when you're a perfectionist. Because when you get into perfectionism, what do? You worry about what? If you're a perfectionist, you know, right? You know, you're worried about, did you do a good enough job? Am I good enough? Oh, you see everything that's wrong with what you've been doing rather than what's right with what you're doing or what you're making or creating. So she's saying if you're a perfectionist and you're trying to be a creative person, whether that be an artist, like where you paint, or whether you're a creative person who creates YouTube videos, or you work with wood or clay or whatever it is you do, she's saying that perfectionism is going to kill your joy. She's saying it's going to kill your joy of creativity. And that joy of creativity is so important in your spiritual growth. So she wanted me to tell you that's why we're talking about it, because it is a big block to your spiritual growth, to your awakening, to you having the spiritual gifts of being able to commune with your spirit guides, get intuitive downloads, and maybe if you're wanting more spiritual growth, of being like centered and awakened, where you feel like calm, it prevents all of that, she's saying. So perfectionism, she says, what it really is it really is your subconscious programming. Okay? It's a subconscious programming that you got when you were young, because usually if you're a perfectionist, you don't become a perfectionist when you're like 30, right? You grow up that way, right? You're little, you're young, and you're trying to make everything perfect, and you're a little kid, and then you go into teenagehood, and you're trying to make it perfect, and you go into what? Adulthood, and what are you trying to do? You're trying to make it perfect. And perfectionism, having things perfect on the physical plane, doesn't happen, Mother Feeling said. You have a moment where something might seem perfect to you, and then it goes into the cycle of being non-perfect. So everything you make it, right? And it looks beautiful. And then like even a painting, you create a painting, and what happens after a while, if the painting's around for years and years and years and years, they start to what? Degrade, break down, right? And so to strive for perfectionism, to make something perfect, Mother Healing says, is a recipe for disappointment, is a recipe for not being connected to spirit, to God, to your higher power. And so it blocks your ability to connect and get intuitive downloads, to get that higher guidance. It's when you're caught in perfectionism. Now, here's the thing. It's a programming. But typically when people are perfectionists, she's saying that the reason why she came Mother of Healing is because it is usually one of your belief systems, the program that you get, that is one of your most pervasive beliefs. So she wants me to explain, like I talk about how we all have these paradigms, these belief systems, and they rule our lives. But the most pervasive beliefs that rule our lives are the ones that we get from emotional events that happen in our lives, okay? It could be a traumatic event, something that really stuck out for you that a lot of people might not call trauma or traumatic, but it was traumatic for you. So some people might say telling somebody they're a certain way or that they can't be what they want to be might not seem like trauma, but it might be to that person in that it squished their heart and squished their soul. Now, that event, you don't need to understand what the event was that's made you a perfectionist, but you have to understand, she's saying, that that is what perfectionism is. It is a belief about you have to be perfect, that everything needs to be perfect for you to move forward, for you to feel like for yourself, that you're a good person, or that you're really, or that you're good at something that you do. So if you never feel good at something that you do, then you suffer from perfectionism. So she's wanting you to understand that it's something that it can be changed, though. Because remember I said it's your programming, it's your subconscious programming. It did maybe come from an event that was an experience that was when you were younger that made an impact on you and could possibly be a traumatic event. But it was something that was said or that happened that really formed your belief system that you need to be perfect. You have to do everything perfect before you're of value, before you're able to like move forward and really hold and love and accept yourself completely the way you are. And so she says she wants you to get that's what perfectionism is. It's just a programming, and something that you can heal and let go of. All right? So the thing is, are you tired of being a perfectionist? Because she says, if you're not tired of it, there will be no healing. There will be no letting it go. Because in order for something to change, you have to be willing to acknowledge and go, I'm kind of tired of this. This isn't serving me. So are you at that place? Have you seen where perfectionism is actually stopping you? Because she actually said that perfectionism is stopping you. Now here is what it's stopping you from, because as a recovering perfectionist, I always say this, I've been saying this for years, I'm a recovering perfectionist, because it is an ongoing practice to be recovered from it. Doesn't mean it's not changed, because I definitely am not the perfectionist that I used to be, because I've learned and been able to heal a lot of what drove that. And I've still seen that there's still some more layers for me to do, but not anywhere like it was, okay? But in order for you to actually have it not stop you, you have to be in a place in acknowledgement to say, this isn't serving me anymore. See, I actually thought my perfectionism served me for a long time, because I felt like it made me, well, before I was in my own business, made me a better employee, that made me do an excellent job, it made me do everything really well, until it didn't, in the sense of what perfectionism stops is you knowing what's true in your heart. And that's what it did for me. It stopped me from knowing what was true in my heart. It stopped me from doing what was true in my heart. Because I had this programming that told me you had to be this certain kind of person, you had to do things a certain way with the perfectionism. So Mother of Healing wants you to know that the first step in your healing is to acknowledge that perfectionism is not serving you. That is actually preventing you from having your spiritual awakening at the level you desire it. Okay, it doesn't mean you're not having any at all, but I bet if you're still out there experimenting with different spiritual paths or doing something, and maybe you've been doing it for a while and you're starting to feel a little discouraged because you aren't having the amount of growth you want, that there can be a level of perfectionism in there that is preventing you from actually hearing your guidance, knowing what's true in your heart, because your guidance speaks through your heart. And so she wants you to acknowledge it. That's the first step she's going to talk about, okay, is that. If you're watching this in the recording or you're here live, please make a comment and say, I'm acknowledging I'm a perfectionist and I'm ready to let it go. She wants you to actually do that. If you're too shy to put it up in the comments, at least say it to yourself out loud. The reason why she says put it out onto the comments is because sometimes when you say it to yourself, how serious are you taking it, she says. And when you put it out there for others to hear, typically you get it in your bones more of, yes, I'm ready. I'm doing something about this. And so she says that's why she recommends putting it up in the comments, in the shares, okay? Now, if this is your first time here and you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. If you like what you're seeing, please share it with someone else, because it's always helpful. And give me a thumbs up, because it all helps my channel. Oh, and the other thing is I do these lives once a week. I do sometimes miss one week of the month. I do 3 on and 1 off. This month, though, I think I might be doing more. And turn on your notifications. Because you turn on your notifications, it lets you know when I'm doing the next live. And I love to see people when they come to the live. If you share and introduce yourself and give a shout out where you're from, it's so fun, because sometimes you meet someone that is from your area. It's happened before when I've done some lives before. So we're going to talk, though, about a little bit about how you become a perfectionist. We kind of went on with your programming, okay? But how does your programming of the event happening turn you into a perfectionist? And Mother Healing says she wants to talk about that, okay? But she says, I want to talk about that after we get going on creativity. Because as you know, if you haven't tuned in here before, you don't know about this wheel, but I used to just paint all the time. But like I said, I love doing lots of different kinds of creativity. That's why I have my little thumbs up. I made this out of clay, making the hand like a thumbs up. I have my little painting things I've done of the subscribe. These are just all fun things I did. But I mostly paint spirit guides, spirit guide portals specifically, because the spirit guides come to me in meditation. But I had gotten a few weeks ago that my guide was guiding me, my spirit guides were guiding me to change it up. Like let's make it a little more fun and a little bit. Actually, this for me is fun, but also a little scary to be. We're gonna like go the spinning wheel, spin it, and we're gonna do the creative act that it says to do. And the reason we're going to do that is because, remember I said about this is a space where we use our creative powers with spirit to grow spiritually. And my spirit guides guided me, telling me that they wanted me to be less structured, less leading with my competence, and more in the fun and joy of just creating. So that's what I want for you. Now, if you can do what's on here, that's great. If you can't, that's okay. We're going to talk more about the perfectionism once we get going on the creative act, because what Mother Healing is saying is when we do a creative act, what are we doing? We're connecting. Now, she's saying if you have perfectionism and that voice is starting to judge your work, because that's what happens when you're a perfectionist, is you begin to judge and critique, right? And that she's even coming through saying that judging and critiquing is not your higher self. It is not your awakened soul. It is your ego. And that's why perfectionism really prevents your spiritual growth, is that you're so caught in your ego, constantly looking at, is it good? Is it not? Oh, I don't know if I did a good job. You're critiquing, you're judging, you're criticizing yourself. And so it prevents you from feeling and being awake in your connection with your spirit guide, with spirit, with God. Okay, so we're going to roll the wheel and we're going to see where it stops, and we're going to do what it says as far as the creative process, creative flow. And what does it say? It says, we're actually going to oil paint today. So it's right on the oil paint, so you can see it's right there. So we're going to break out the oil paints, and we're going to do that today. I've been hoping that it will land on clay because I wanted to make something with the clay with you, but it hasn't been doing that. So we're going to oil paint. That's good. Let me ask if we're going to work on something I've already been doing, or if we're going to work on something new. So it says we're going to work on something I've already been working on. We're not going to create something new. We're not going to work. We did intuitive painting once. Have you ever done that, where you put up a canvas and you just paint and you don't? She said she wanted me to work on the healing hands, because these are healing hands that I saw in a vision, and she wants me to start working on this. So we're going to work on this for a little while, and we're going to talk about perfectionism and how do you even become it, even though now you know somehow you become it, right, with your programming, right? So that we know that happens, that your programming gets you going there. I'm here. I just have to get my palette out that is for the healing hands. One of the things is I have three different palettes like these. So if you're new to it, that I use for different paintings, because I usually have different spirit guide portals going on at the same time. Sometimes, yes, I'm going to have to, it's old paint, I'm going to have to remix some paint. So we're going to work on the healing hands and talk a little more about perfectionism. Now, perfectionism, it starts, like I said, with the programming. It starts with the programming when you were young from some event. But how does that come into a full-blown perfectionist as you get older? And Mother of Healing is talking about the fact that anything that comes from an emotional trauma, an experience that has some kind of negative impact in making you feel like you're the ego, that you're that there's something wrong with you, or that there's a creative, and I'm sorry if this scraping comes through on the microphone. I have to clean this off a little bit because I haven't actually painted on these in a while to get it so I can put new paint down. But she said, Mother of Healing talked about how if you have something when you were young that created a pervasive belief that came, like I said, from an emotional event that impacted you, that made you feel less than, that made you feel like you weren't good enough, that made you feel like there was something wrong with you. She says, as you are on the planet longer, as you get older, those beliefs, if not healed and transformed into spiritual truth, that then it makes you a perfectionist. And she said the thing about perfectionism is the longer you're on the planet without actually addressing it or healing it, the worse it gets. So you'll see yourself, if you don't address it, getting worse and worse, where the perfectionism just keeps stopping you from moving forward. You'll see yourself getting trapped in indecision, in worry and doubt on whether or not you did a good job. It'll become bigger and bigger as you get on the planet longer and longer. And so she said that it's important that you actually start to address it so that it doesn't get bigger. Because the bigger it gets, like you might be doing some spiritual practices, but seeing you're not making any progress. And when you're in perfectionism, what do? You overthink, right? Thinking, trying to figure things out. So that's why I always say, oh, I'm a recovering perfectionist, because I feel like it was one of the biggest things that helped my spiritual growth was to go out, like coming from my mind, my programming of the perfectionism that I got programmed with. I saw how it was actually stopping me. And so you have to start to acknowledge that that it's actually stopping you. See, because like I said, for years I thought perfectionism made me a better employee, made me better at what I did. But, when you get in your own business, you're not an employee anymore, and it keeps you stuck from actually growing into what you need to grow into. Because I always say having your own business is it's like a spiritual path. When you get into your own business, everything that you've avoided when you were an employee at a job comes to the forefront in your business, and you have to address it. You have to be willing to look at it. You have to be willing to grow, to meet whatever challenges are happening. And if you're not willing to do that, you'll get stuck. So perfectionism stops that. So we're going to start with working on these healing hands some more. I'm going to have to pray and check in with them on one of the things I do when I'm creating the spirit guide portals is I actually ask the spirit guide what they want me to do next. So I'm going to take a moment and ask, especially since I haven't worked on them in a while. So I'm going to tune in and ask Mother of Healing and the healing hands what they want me to do. So they tell me to work on the hands. So I'm going to do some working on the hands. Some other healing is wanting you to check in with yourself and ask yourself, how has perfectionism been holding me back? Because she says everybody who's a perfectionist, part of them like thinks, oh, it makes me do things great, but there's also a way it's holding you back. And for it to stop holding you back in that way, you have to acknowledge first how it's holding you back. So she's telling me to share with you I check something because it's been a while. I was watching, oops, dropped something. One of the things I do, because I mix a lot of my colors, is I keep a little notebook of something if I've been doing a project for ongoing. I actually write down what I use to mix a color so I don't have to keep mixing and trying to get it to match. I can just look on here and go, oh, okay, this is what I did. Okay. So she wants you to actually acknowledge to yourself like how it's stopping you. I'm sorry, I got caught up in putting out the paint. And she wants you to acknowledge that to yourself, because until you acknowledge how it's holding you back, you won't be motivated to heal and change what needs to be healed and changed. Okay, and then we're going to talk on next week's live about, she's saying about more about how you stop it, but she says you can't talk about how you stop it until you even acknowledge what the problem is. So she's saying to acknowledge yourself. So I was watching this show. I can't remember what the name of it was. It was one of those cooking shows where they create desserts. And in there was a woman who was a perfectionist. And she just was like getting so caught up in trying to make everything perfect that she actually couldn't complete the dessert in the allotted time because she was too caught up in something wasn't good enough, something wasn't good enough, and she kept doing things over and over and over. So she's using that as one example of, that's one way you could be getting caught up in perfectionism, is that maybe you're either doing things over or you're never moving forward, she said. So that's like what you want to look at is, am I moving forward? Now, that was an example of on a dessert show, but she wants you to look at it as an example in your life. Like, where in your life, maybe you've had an intuitive inkling or a feeling of something that you've wanted to move forward in, but you haven't moved forward in it because of perfectionism. Now, that perfectionism could be showing up as fear. In fact, she wants me to talk about a long time ago when I first started coaching people, before I coached people with my spirit guides, because my spirit guides, that's the unique thing about my mentoring programs, my coaching programs, individual coaching, is that they come in and they share the higher guidance of exactly what you need to do so you can get beyond your stuck place. So in the beginning when I coached, I just coached, with me, myself. And I was coaching and helping people. And I had this coaching client who she just kept feeling like she wasn't good enough and that she couldn't move forward on things because of the fact that she felt like she wasn't good enough. She didn't say, I'm not good enough. What she did was she kept getting into a new thing she needed to get certified in. Have any of you ever been that way? I see a lot of healers who do that. And I'm not criticizing for it. I love to learn too. I'm a learner. But if you're learning and you're never moving forward, then you're caught in perfectionism of not thinking you're good enough. And that was preventing my client from doing and moving forward. So we would talk about what she needed to do to grow a business and what was going on. And she would talk to me, like when we talked the next time, she would show me all the pretty forms that she made and the things that she did that were not growing her business. You know, so like making a form look pretty. Like, now you need forms and systems in business, and I'm not telling you don't, because you do, okay? But making a form pretty and all the bells and whistles when you need money coming in isn't going to bring you money if that's all you're doing. But because of that perfectionist voice, that form had to look perfect before she could move forward. Now, this is just coming to me from Mother of Healing. I never even thought about this. Perfectionism sometimes shows up because she's saying perfectionism doesn't just come in the form like what you think of everyone trying to make something perfect, okay? She says perfectionism can come in as a reason to not move forward. See, so you'll look at something and go, oh, like the feeling of like you're not good enough. Oh, I'm not good enough. I don't have enough training. That's the big one. I don't have enough training to actually move forward on this. So, and that's not, now there are sometimes, yes, maybe you don't. Like if you're supposed to be a medical doctor, you shouldn't be saying you're a medical doctor if you have no training, you haven't gotten a medical skill, you know. But there's a lot of people who are out there in the alternative healing who get trained on things and they keep not moving forward on it because they keep thinking, I don't know enough. So what do? They go out and they learn the next thing. So there are people who are Reiki masters, and then they go get, I'm making it up, I've done some pranic healing training because I wanted to do it for myself. And so then they get pranic healing, and then they do another one, and then they're certified in 20 different things, and they've never moved forward on any of them. They don't do any of the Reiki to people, they don't do, you know, and that's when you know, perfectionism has caught them stopped in their tracks because they don't feel good enough. Okay, so that's just another example. She's putting all these examples out because she wants you to recognize which one you are. If you're tuning in here, you must have some perfectionist tendencies or think that this is creating some challenges in your life. So she wanted me to give you examples because she says it's so important to really acknowledge it. And often when you hear someone else say it, you'll go, yeah, that's me. But yet when left to your own, you don't recognize it. You just know that you're caught up in something or that you're not moving forward. That's usually what it is. You might not even know why you're not moving forward. Like I think there are some people who are perfectionists who don't know it. And they get caught and they don't actually move forward on things, but they don't know why. And a lot of it is the perfectionism of you're not good enough. So you have to recognize perfectionism shows up in many different ways. But if she's saying, if you're not moving forward on what your heart's desire is, then you most likely have some form of it. What level, she doesn't know, but she's saying what, because I'm not connected with you right now, but she's saying you have some form of perfectionism that's going on. Okay? So, So now when you're doing any kind of creativity, that can show up really heavily about perfectionism, right? When you think about it, because what happens? You start to critique your work, right? And that's why, for me, I really look at, let me ask the guides what to do, because it was the very thing that helped me get out of the critiquing of my work. If I left it up to me to critique it, I was programmed to look at what was wrong with everything, not what was right. Now, I don't do that now. Doesn't mean I never fall into it if I'm really tired, or, but it's something that I have to make sure that I'm connected so that I'm not falling into it, of that feeling of a voice coming up trying to tell me something's not good. It was one of the reasons why my spirit guides wanted me to start doing these lives, was because, and especially they had me take it to the next level, doing the live in the first place was a big deal for me, because I was like, I like to just paint by myself and not have anybody see it until the spirit guide portal was done. Because then you wouldn't see if something like was going through its ugly stage, because I would worry about, oh, you know, when it looked in the ugly stage, that maybe I didn't follow spirit correctly or something. Now, I have since then learned that, and that's why they were like, no, it's time for you to like come out of the closet and start doing the spirit guides in front of people. Like, was that I learned that by connecting and really just allowing and accepting that the ugly stage of the portal is part of the creation of it, it made it go, oh, okay, it's just in that stage, rather than, oh, did I do a good job? I'd be like, stop, let's do a prayer, get back connected, because that's what I do. Is if I hear that voice coming in, then let me do a prayer, because that's the thing about the path of awakening and perfectionism. Why perfectionism stops you, Mother of Healing is saying, is because as you're on the path of awakening, learning to grow spiritually, you can move in and out of being fully connected and not. You're always connected, but are you aware? Are you fully aware of that message, that connection? And if you're tired, if you're hungry, if something's happening in your life that is really pressing on those limiting false beliefs that are the most pervasive ones from wounds, then you will find that you will have more challenges with staying connected. So it's, how do you actually overcome that voice? So when I'm using creativity as a way to connect, I use the power of prayer and intention, through, not just at the beginning, because I did a prayer before, like, right, I got on. I did the prayer of inviting the spirit guides in. As we started this live, and as I paint, I will continually do that, because I know that if something happens where my critiquing voice slips in, then I know I need to, oh, let me do a prayer to get connected, get reconnected. So if you can do the creative process several times a week and be connecting, that is very helpful. well, color thing is slipping out. So we're going to So, Holy Mary Mother of Healing is saying, even if you don't think you're a perfectionist, have there been times you're trying to make things perfect? Been trying to fix things and it just won't seem to get fixed? Because she's saying that perfectionism, she feels, almost runs rampant. Well, she's saying in the United States. She's telling me that. She says it kind of runs rampant in the United States. Now, you might not be from the United States. You might be from another country. And other countries aren't quite the same as the United States. So she's saying that. But she's saying if you're someone from the United States, kind of really look at your life. And even if you're not from the United States, look at it anyway. Because she's saying that even in other countries, perfectionism gets people caught. But she's saying that she really used the word rampant. She said it kind of runs rampant in the United States. And can't change anything, she says, until you acknowledge it. She says next week we're going to talk about, at least what she's telling me now, about how do you start to, excuse me, overcome it. Because if you want to stop your overthinking, because that's just who my spirit guides have been guiding me to talk to lately, is people who are overthinkers. Now, they specifically said overthinkers, overthinking high-achieving women. Now, you might not identify as that. Now, of course, you might not be a woman, but a lot of women won't identify as high-achieving. I think when I was younger, I don't think I identified as it consciously, but excuse me, something is making me cough. But I was always, you're a high achiever if you're trying to be really good at something, excellent at something. If you have a goal that you want to get ahead, if you have, you're high achieving, if you're looking to, if you have aspirations to grow spiritually, this is what Mother Healing is telling me, is people who are looking to grow spiritually often don't identify as a high achiever. But she says if you're wanting to become enlightened or grow spiritually, you're a high achiever. So they're wanting me. It's not making the painting look better right now, but this is what they want me to do. And if anybody has a question, she's saying feel free to put it up. Today, my mother of healing's not saying anymore really about the perfectionism other than the step that she wants you to do, which is to acknowledge for yourself where perfectionism has been stopping you, where it's been stopping you from growing spiritually, where it's been stopping you. Mostly she's saying in your life, like where have you not been acting on what your truth is because of your perfectionism. That you're so caught up in trying to make things perfect, trying to do it right or be good enough, that it's been holding you back. And then we're going to talk after more about it next week, about the how you start to overcome it. Like she wants me to share with you, like right now as I'm doing these hands, I'm having to continually reconnect and pray because my little ego self is saying, I don't know if this is helping, but I don't know if this is making it look better. But we're going to do it anyway. We just move forward and do what we're guided to do. I'm going to step back in a little bit just to see what it looks like. So one of the things you have to step back to get a bigger view. And, Mother of Healing is saying when you have the challenge of perfectionism, it's really important when you catch yourself in it to take a step back. Take a step back. And kind of reassess what's happening. I don't know if you can hear that, but we are having some really loud thunder. Stand back a little bit. See what's happening with the painting. Whether the healing is saying if there's any questions, if anyone is out there who has a question, feel free to put it on there. Actually, it does look better. It was amazing to me. I'm going to be on next week. Oh, I can't believe it's already 4:30. It took a while to get going on the painting today, but I'm going to adjust some of these real quick. Anyway, this finger's not done yet, but I'm going to add something to this that makes it better. 4:39. Didn't realize it was that late. But we'll be here next week talking more about overcoming perfectionism. I don't know who the spirit guide is. Any questions or anything before I wrap it up? I notice there's a few people on there live. I'd love it if you guys want to put a question up or comment or share before I sign off. This thunder is like going like crazy. I'm glad that I haven't lost electricity, otherwise I'd lose the live. I give it a minute to see, and if I don't see anything, then I hope to see you here next week. It'll be Thursday, 3:30 Eastern Time. We'll be talking channeling the spirit guides and more about perfectionism, about helping you stop that overthinking. I'm really curious. I'd love it if you share. Do you identify as an overthinker or a overthinking, high achieving woman? Just curiosity, because I don't know how many people do. I know I've been an overthinker, and I know many people who have been. But I'm just curious. Anybody who comes, if you watch this in the recording or live, if you identify as an overthinking, high achieving woman, or if you're just an overthinking person. So the way I've been defined to me as overthinking is you question everything, you worry, you doubt, you're a perfectionist, you have these qualities that you think is just you, that's life, because maybe all the people around you, worry, have doubt, constantly question or indecision. Those are all things that are signs you're an overthinker. I'm just curious, whoever watches this video, live or in the recording, I'd love to see, have you share in the comments if you identify as that. And if you have, what kind of problems it's created for you? Like, has it gotten you frozen or not moving forward or unhappy in your life? Because when you don't decide, or you have a decision, or you worry a lot, it creates stress and anxiety often, and often not moving forward. So I just was curious. All right, well, it doesn't look like anybody's going to share today, so we will be signing off, and we will see you next week. All right, take care.